going on, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Niners News here on 49ers Hive. My name is Zach Hernandez, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Matt Llewellyn. And today we're going to be breaking down a crazy first day of the legal tampering period, free agency. Matt, the 49ers were very active today, and they were able to do some work to their own free agents, including Jason Verrett. That was kind of surprising to me. We'll go by these one by one, but why don't we start with Jason Verrett? They were able to keep him on a 1-year deal with up to five and a half million with some guarantees. Was that surprising to you that he was willing to take the 1-year kind of prove it deal and stay with SF?
It is a little bit. Somebody was saying that there was a multi-year deal on the table, and what I'm thinking is that the AAV of that contract wasn't up to snuff. So this deal is 5.5, but it has, incentives added on top of it, per game bonus, that kind of stuff. So he's essentially betting on himself to stay healthy again. And then next season is really when he's going to try to parlay that into a huge money contract. It really is a win for the 49ers, in my opinion. If he stays healthy, you get another year out of him to kind of replace, your defensive backfield. And if, he can't stay healthy, then you didn't really spend that much to keep him in house. So it's very interesting, but it's one of the pieces that we were looking forward to having if it was team friendly. And we always talk about the team friendly thing. Well, this is about as team friendly as it gets. So yeah, I look at it as a net positive for the team.
Yeah, no, I was surprised to see this go so quickly. I thought he was going to test the free agency market a little more. Maybe he got what he figured he was going to get, didn't like it, went back to the Niners, said, "Hey, what can you do?" But yeah, so it's 5.5, and I'm not sure if I missed it, but you said already, my bad. Up to 6.5 if he makes the Pro Bowl. It's not a bad deal for the 49ers, man. And if he continues to play at the level he did in 2020, 2021, that's a solid pickup for them, especially with a lot of the secondary likely not going to return. They already did bring back Emmanuel Mosley, but outside of that, there are a lot of question marks. Another big story that broke today is they were able to restructure Dee Ford's contract. They restructured him to a 2-year, $24 million that I think freed up about $6 million with the cap space. Mm-hmm. What do you make of this? Was this surprising to you as well?
I think no, not really. I think they finally realized they'd done all that they could to try to get him ready. But they had to do something because it's pretty apparent that he's not going to be able to pass that physical by April 1st. And that would have meant that his entire salary, $11.65 million, would have become guaranteed. So they had to do something. We kind of expected that it was going to be done. They could have saved $6 million just by outright cutting him. At least they're giving him an opportunity to kind of work back, which is what it seems like. So it's, again, another shrewd move by the team. They seem to be manufacturing this cap space, doing a good job restructuring people. And if Dee Ford can ever turn it around and make something happen, then more the better for him. But they also hedged their bets with the next signing that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and the whole Dee Ford thing I thought was interesting because the way you laid it out, I should say, I think is interesting because, yeah, it really does. It's basically a win-win. If they're not able to keep him, if he's not able to pass that physical, hey, all right, well, we still save the money and we're still going to cut you. But they bet on him, or they're betting on him. They're giving him a chance, to bet on himself and say, hey, if you feel you can do it, then pass physical, get healthy, and then we have a pretty solid defensive line yet again. But if not, all right, we'll have to move on elsewhere.
Yeah, and I think really I don't think that they think he's going to make it back. This was just the easiest way to kind of make it happen for everybody without just outright releasing him. So yeah. I don't think that he had much choice in the matter because they were going to cut him anyway if he didn't restructure. So
yeah, I guess that makes sense. But I mean, it's a team friendly. I guess everybody wins in the situation. So maybe they were just trying to keep the feelings kind of mutual for now until they're kind of forced to deal their hand. The big signing, I guess you could say today for the 49ers was outside linebacker Samson Ebukam, who signed a 2-year deal worth up to $12 million with incentives, or excuse me, up to 13.5 with incentives. What do you make of this one?
He's 25 years old. He was playing on a stacked defensive line in Los Angeles. So it's a high upside signing for pretty cheap, and especially when you're looking at like Shaq Barrett going for a lot of money, and some of these other guys 17-18 million per year. It's not really that big a deal. Like you could sign a guy for essentially $6 to $7 million a year, and if he turns into something that's great, I think he's going to be more of like the situational pass rusher. I know some people are confused because it's like, why are we signing the linebacker? But you think 3-4 linebacker. He's a 3-4 outside linebacker, which means he's going to drop down to the edge. I don't know how he is against the run. I've heard that he can be a little stiff, so we'll see what happens there. But as a supplement to a returning Nick Bosa, it'll be really interesting to see. The big thing to watch out for is if they even attempt to bring back Kerry Hyder. That will inform a lot of what's going on with Dee Ford, I think, a little bit more. Because if they bring Kerry Hyder back too, now all of a sudden you have kind of a logjam at that position, and it would indicate to me that Dee Ford probably isn't going to make it back. So I like it. I mean, it's taking a piece away from a division rival and adding a little bit to, what the 49ers fans think that they need more of in the draft. So as long as they're not now taking an edge in round one, I'm super happy about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And as far as Samson Ebukam, there are two kind of stats that I want to bring up. Last 4 years, he's played all 16 games. Hopefully I didn't just jinx him right now, but that's something 49ers fans I know are going to love to hear. And I saw Next Gen Stats tweeted up that he generated a career high 12.7% pressure rate as a situational pass rusher last season, which was the 15th highest in the NFL. Like you said, take that with a grain of salt. He's playing with a pretty stacked defensive line with the Rams. But he's coming into, not the worst situation here in SF, even if Dee Ford's out. So hopefully he's able to, kind of replicate some of that success with the 49ers, with Chris Kerserek. They got a pretty good setup there. I like his chances. A signing that happened yesterday, right after we finished recording and finished our live stream, they kept Juice. Juice is coming back. I believe it was about a 5-year deal, $27 million roughly, if I remember correctly. Was that anything you saw coming? I know that there were those weird tweets from Jed and John Saturday night, but would you have kept Juice if it was up to you?
I mean, the way that they did it, people are going to look at the total value of the contract, and it's really not that. It's only, I believe, $10 million guaranteed. So essentially, it's like a 2-year deal. They're going to be able to get out of it. He's not going to make it to the end of that contract, but they get to bring back a guy that they feel really comfortable with, that they obviously value. So, it's. I think after that weird John Lynch tweet, it was kind of inevitable that he was going to make it back. So that really wasn't that shocking to me. And again, I know we'd previously talked about Emmanuel Mosley re-signed. So that's like 3 of the guys that we were really looking to see if they would be coming back, with the other 2 being K'Wan Williams and, the big ticket item, which is still out there on the market and making me more nervous by the minute, is Trent Williams. So I think we need to get into Trent Williams, because I just think the longer that this goes on, the worse that it is for the 49ers, the less likely it is that he comes back. I know Indianapolis is going to make a run at him. I know some people thought that the Chiefs were before they spent a ton of money on Joe Thuney, but I think that, the longer he's out there and the 49ers are letting him, get that taste of what free agency is like, the less they're playing a dangerous game. It was reported that they weren't willing to go over $20 million per year. And I think what they're doing is they are reading the tea leaves of the market and don't think that he can get more than 20 million. So they're counting on him going out, sniffing around, kicking the tires. Maybe Indianapolis comes looking around and makes some offer, but maybe it's not enough for them. To me, the issue with the 49ers is anybody expecting, another Super Bowl run if everybody stays healthy. I think that's a little ambitious. This roster is going to have a huge amount of turnover, and we don't know how they're going to turn out. So to me, it's going to be one of those things where it might take a year or two, and why not do it with a rookie quarterback that you have 4 to 5 years of salary control on?
Yep. Yeah, I when you kind of tweeted out, because it all in our group chat, it started with the tweet from Brian Baldinger, or I should say the radio clip from Brian Baldinger. I think he was on 95.7 The Game. And he basically said, look, the 49ers would be crazy to give him up, but if they do give him up, or they're not able to sign him, I should say, not give him up, he'll be an Indianapolis Colt tomorrow. there is a lot of interest for a premier left tackle in his prime. That is Trent Williams. So, yeah, it did make me a little nervous once you said it. Because at first I'm like, look, the guy just wants to get his feet wet in the free agency market. Maybe wants to get a feel for it. He's never been a free agent. But then it's kind of like, okay, what else do you have to see, man? Like, go get your price range and then come back. Maybe something's being negotiated. I don't know.
Yeah, and I know that Mike from Nothing But Niners, friend of the show, he was talking about it, and he's like, look, Trent Williams has seen their offer. He knows what it is. So now it's just a matter of he's trying to go out and get more. And again, if the 49ers wait too long to pounce on it and not lock him up, maybe the Colts do give him more, and then he's out of here.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very realistic possibility scenario. Maybe it happens tomorrow. We'll see. I want to get into a couple of leaving pieces and rumors. Kendrick Bourne signed with the Patriots. I believe it was a 3-year, $22.5 million. The 49ers going to miss his presence. What do you make of that signing for New England?
I mean, first of all, congratulations to KB, who got more money than what the 49ers obviously were willing to give him, and more money than I think that he is worth on the open market. I think the Patriots are buying high because they have a lot of money and they need to get playmakers in there for Cam. Not to say anything bad about Kendrick Bourne, but $7 million plus for a number 3 wide receiver is a lot. So, he's going to be missed. And I think the 49ers do now need to go out and address the wide receiver position. Just, if anything else, get somebody, a reliable body there, because the one thing Bourne was able to do was stay relatively healthy. So beyond Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk, it's really a toss-up at that position. Richie James hasn't done anything to really warrant a spot. River Craycraft is River Ray Craycraft, whatever his name is. Jalen Hurd has been hurt. Jalen Hurt. So, and then you have Juwan Jennings, who knows if a 7th round pick is going to pan out. So I expect the 49ers to address this. And one of the rumors does have them, beating around the bush on Juju Smith-Schuster. So we'll see how that turns out. And I think that's going to be largely dependent on what happens with Trent Williams. But yeah, the 49ers definitely have a hole at the position now, but good for Kendrick Bourne on getting his money.
Yeah, definitely congrats to him. Undrafted free agent, came into the league, made a nice career for himself so far. Hopefully he has some success in New England. I know how you feel about Cam. I think you know how I feel about Cam. So hopefully that doesn't affect him too much, but congrats nonetheless. And yes, let's get into these rumors. We'll wrap it up here, this episode. You brought up Juju Smith-Schuster. There were a couple of accounts on Twitter saying that they had some sources the 49ers were interested in him. You also alluded to there, it's basically either or Trent Williams or Juju. There's no scenario in which the 49ers end up with both here, right?
No, because despite the fact that Juju Smith-Schuster really is wide receiver 2, he's a number 2 guy. He hasn't, he had that breakout season when Antonio Brown was in Pittsburgh, but beyond that, he's kind of been on the decline. He's going to want to get paid like a number 1, and somebody's going to pay him like a number 1. So with that level of salary, I just don't think that, you could realistically look at it. Especially, there was a wide receiver signing earlier today that kind of just set the tone for what the day is going to be like. And, for Juju Smith-Schuster, he's going to want a lot. So if the 49ers are really going to re-sign Trent Williams, they're not going to have the space for Juju. It's pretty simple as that. And honestly, I think that there's better ways to spend that money, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. I think the wide receiver you're talking about, Corey Davis.
It's Corey Davis. I couldn't remember. Kenny Golladay is stuck in my head because if the 49ers were going to overpay for a receiver, pay high dollar for a receiver, it might as well be Kenny Golladay, who I think is just a better wide receiver.
Yeah, so Corey Davis went for a 3-year, $37.5 million, $27 million guaranteed to the Jets. So Saleh got a new receiver there.
Yep.
That's
Saleh
pricey.
got a couple of things actually. Mm-hmm. Saleh got a couple of things today. He got his edge rusher.
Bud Dupree, right?
No, he went to Tennessee. Carl Lawson.
That's who it is. Yeah.
Which the Bengals replaced with that Hendrickson kid from New Orleans.
Trey Hendrickson, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
Yeah, bunch of moving pieces.
There could be more. Rumor is that the Jets are going to be shopping CJ Mosley. So that could be a big name to watch out for. But yeah, I would expect the 49ers to stay busy. It was a crazy day 1. Day 2 is probably going to be just as crazy. So I'm hearing rumors about Philip Lindsay as a
Mm-hmm.
potential.
Yep.
The Broncos low tendered him so the 49ers can get him without having to give anything back to the Broncos, which could be a plus.
I'd love that. I'd love to see that. One other rumor, and then we'll wrap things up. I know you're stoked to talk about this one. Mitchell Trubisky. It's been floated out there. The 49ers have some interest in him. What do you make of that?
I don't really buy it. The people are going to connect every quarterback available to the 49ers as long as Jimmy Garoppolo is the quarterback. Just because everybody knows there's enough smoke there to know that the team is not happy with Jimmy G's performance. They're probably looking to move on. But anybody who thinks that Mitchell Trubisky is an upgrade over Jimmy G is kidding themselves. I don't see it. I don't see it.
I don't either. I don't see the point of making that move. You might as well just stay with Jimmy. Maybe the thought process behind it is Mitchell can stay healthy. Maybe, I don't know, but it's a lot. It'd be a lot to make that move just for a guy who might be able to stay a little healthier. And then also on the flip side, a rumor that I saw going around too is that the Patriots signed KB, so that way when they trade for Jimmy, he's got some familiar targets there if that were to pan out. Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I roll. They don't really give a crap about who he's familiar with or not. Jimmy's familiar with New England as a whole in general, so they don't need to have receivers he's familiar with if they're to make that trade. But I think that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Niners News here at 49ers Hive. It's been a crazy, not even first day of free agency, just legal tampering period. Come back here. We'll break it all down tomorrow. If you like what you see, do us a solid, hit that subscribe button. We are trying to reach our goal of 2,000 subscribers. We're getting very close. Let us give away some 49ers jerseys. Like this video and drop a comment below. What do you make of these signings? How would you grade the 49ers first day of legal tampering, I guess? I don't know. Drop a comment below with your letter grade, A through F.
Yeah, and it's busy season, guys. So now it's more important than ever that you click that bell so you never miss another new video. We'll be back here tomorrow breaking down day 2 of the legal tampering period. So with that in mind, until next time, go Niners.